Well, it's Friday night pizza night here on a Wednesday. We're going to talk a million little things. Episode 4, the theme of loneliness, some secrets, how we got here, where do we go from here? Let's do it, guys.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
You know that I can use
Somebody. I think we were all loving this song.
someone like me.
Yes, life.
I feel like I'm at the concert of the Red Ferns right now.
Oh, yeah.
Which is Eddie's band's name that we learned tonight, which, we'll TBD on. The jury's still out on how I feel about that band title, but I do love the Kings of Leon. So,
Kings of Leon is bomb.
hi, AfterBuzzers. We are back chatting about a million little things. We missed you guys last week, but we had an awesome fill-in panel for us. But the gang's all back together, and we could not be more excited. I'm Laura L. Thomas, and I got a group of lovely ladies, starting with Miss Maggie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Maggie Clark.
Hey guys, I'm Alexandria. And I am Takira Shabrae. Good to see you guys.
Happy Wednesday. So just breaking it all down, we're going to just talk about this episode. Obviously, we've got some secrets that are being revealed. We've got some secrets that are still being hidden. The permeating idea of this theme of loneliness and how it's sort of working its way into each of the couple's lives now that, they're all dealing with the loss of John and the bombshell of the affair coming out. And then just kind of taking an overall look at how we got here as a group, how each individual couple got here, and where they go. So, ladies, overall thoughts on this episode. I mean, we're 4 episodes in, so I think we're getting to know these people pretty well so far. Mm-hmm. Thoughts? Are we surprised at where we are at this point in the season? Do we feel like we've got a long way to go? What's going on?
I would say it's kind of right on track, but I need this is 4, so I need 5 to give us a bomb.
Yeah.
Which I think it might.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
It's almost like, okay, I need to check my pulse a little bit. Give me a little drama. Give me a little plot twist, because I think we're kind of leveling out. And that doesn't need to happen.
You didn't think last episode was a bomb? I was waiting for that bomb to drop when they finally figured out everything. No? Not enough?
Well, no, because I think that bomb was dropped the first episode. Like, for all of us. And I think we need, the bomb of the affair, I'm assuming is what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's the one of the affair.
Yeah.
That happened last episode.
We as an audience found out about the affair in the first episode. Yeah. So now it's like...
I guess, okay, if you look at it like that, then true.
And I think we're kind of getting to that point, too, where how we left the episode tonight feels a little bit like it's kind of wrapping itself up, and the affair is not so much the focus of the group's interactions now. So we got to get something else juicy happening.
Yeah, I agree. I gotta say that this kind of felt like a slower episode for me. I felt like I took away more from the previous 3 episodes than this one. So I agree with you that we are kind of setting ourselves up for some big action in the next episode. And I feel like it may have been a little premature that all of the characters were all of a sudden forgiving one another. And that just seemed a little early for all of that to happen.
Well, it was thanks to an innocent child named Theo.
Yep.
Bringing everybody together, which was the cutest part. That was my favorite part of the whole
It was very
episode.
sweet.
It was one of those things that I had the moment of like, the things we do for our kids.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know that I could sit at a dinner with
I couldn't.
with a
all
person.
that drama.
No way.
Nope. But the things we do for our kids, ladies.
I mean, you got to be the bigger person.
Yeah, and technically on the show, it's like 2 weeks. So,
yeah.
That's not long enough.
I
2
feel what
weeks.
you're saying.
That's a heavy 2 weeks, y'all.
Yeah,
that's true.
I do love the turnaround though of Catherine's character, because when we first met her, she was like a woman scorn, and she's just this very hard exterior, not really loving, caring. We almost sided with Eddie for a minute, like, you're darn right, even though that's definitely not a reason to cheat, but now our pain and our love and our our compassion is with Catherine, and
Yes.
she's
Right.
softened. So I do like that turnaround.
She's an onion.
2 weeks, she's a different woman. So.
Peeling away her layers and getting to know
Yeah,
her
I love
better.
it.
I was waiting
Yeah.
for Catherine to come into her emotions because her hard exterior was just, like I said, I agree with you. Just we were siding with Eddie. Well, I was siding with Eddie.
Sure.
It was a fake face, which I think is the theme of the show.
And it took an affair to finally
Well,
break it.
And that's a really good transition into our first topic, which is sort of this theme of loneliness that we want to kind of dive into. And guys, we've got tons of news and gossip and all kinds of good things to get to later, so stick around. You don't want to miss it. But first things first, let's just take a little look at this theme of loneliness. Let's start with Eddie and Catherine, because I think when you get to a point in a relationship where he's clearly taken a step back from his true passion, which is music, and we get to see that moment where he feels most alive on stage, and she's in the wings waiting for him, and she's pregnant, they got their unborn child there, and it was just that moment where you see them so hopeful and full of love from both of them, really, her having to step up and be this breadwinner of their family. When we learned that Eddie gets kicked out of the band, I'm guessing because of his drinking issues. That can create a real divide and a real resentment in a relationship. And your new parents, you've got this young child that you're looking after, like, it is so, I think it's so easy to kind of just throw yourself into your responsibilities and forget why you connected in the first place. I don't know. What do you guys think about that relationship and how loneliness has kind of played a factor for them?
I agree. I feel like Catherine is almost the female version of John, because she's just the workaholic, but she does it all out of love. It's all for her family.
Yep.
But in doing so, in throwing everything into work, she might be neglecting her relationship.
Yeah.
And that's not her fault. She felt like she needed to do that because she was the breadwinner, and her husband was sick. He was dealing with being an alcoholic and recovering from that. So she was doing the best she could. And as a result, their marriage fell apart. But they were both at fault for that.
It's definitely key in a relationship to always make your partner feel like equal, how you want to be treated equal. Otherwise, it's not going to work. There will be the resentment. There will be the neglect. And that's, I think that's the main problem that they had. But I feel like there's also another way Catherine could have went about it. Like, she didn't have to be superwoman with it. However, her hard exterior was, I guess, the main problem. Because me personally, if you have a hard exterior and it's just blah in that moment, it would cause me to just think like, I don't know, something else is happening. I'll have all these questions, and that's not good.
Yeah, I think her hard exterior was actually, now that I've seen it kind of come full circle, I think her hard exterior wasn't just her character. I think it was her resentment. And resentment can turn into something so ugly, and that could turn into action, that can turn into thoughts that you're not communicating. So all of this resentment and all of these feelings that she's holding in and not telling him, I could only imagine, like, in her mind, she's resentful that he got kicked out. She's resentful that he's not doing anything with his life. These are the thoughts that I feel like are going through Catherine's mind. You're not doing anything with the house. You're barely even putting the sponge in the sink. Like, all these little things, and here I am busting my butt to make a living for our house, and you can't even pick up our kid or, like, clean properly. You're like, what? Like, all those little things, if you don't communicate that piece to your spouse, it's just a ball of fire, and that fire will eventually burn you, yourself, and everyone else around you. So I feel like that's where her hard exterior is coming down, and now that she's got off of her chest what it is, I feel like we'll see her kind of come around.
Yeah, I think you're right in that regard too, and I think you guys really hit on a really great point about the work factor being a huge factor both for Catherine and for John. And even John said at the beginning of this episode, you know, everything that I do is for this family. Right. Delilah gets a little bit resentful on pizza night because he has to answer the phone, and his response to her is, everything that I do is for this family. And I think that that's so common in American society, I think in particular. I think maybe other cultures around the world might be a little bit better about finding that work and home life balance, but for some reason here in America, we have this need to kind of do it all, be it all, both men and women. And I love that actually we do get to see both like a male and a female side of being the breadwinner of the house.
It was
you know?
so intentional, and I love it.
I love it. And I think it was so smart on the part of the writers. But I did come across an article that was from the Washington Post around this time last year. And the headline reads that the former Surgeon General says that there is a loneliness epidemic and that work is partly to blame. And it goes on to say in the article, and I'll post the link in the comments so you guys can read it if you want. But it goes on to say that, let's see, we live in the most technologically connected age in the history of civilization, yet the rate of loneliness has doubled since the 1980s. And it's amazing.
Insane.
So we're connected all the time. You know, you're watching this on YouTube, you're listening to this on iTunes or a podcast. We're connected as a society, and yet we're killing ourselves because our connection is not with one another and who's right in front of us. Our connection is with these devices that give almost a false sense of reality. And so I just thought it was really interesting.
Killing ourselves literally and metaphorically.
Absolutely.
Too. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's why celebrities and people that, you know, you feel have it all, that it's not all.
Yeah.
So.
I think we're slowly losing our social skills because of it too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's probably the contributing factor as to why the statistic is so high.
Well, yeah, and I heard even as recently as this week, and I wish I could find it. If I can, I'll post it in the comments. But that there are higher rates of ADHD, but among young people now, that young people are feeling lonelier than like later generations because of technology. It's just one of those things where loneliness truly is an epidemic and is kind of killing our society. Even though you would think that it would be the opposite because we have so much connection at our disposal. So it just goes to show, I think, that it starts in the home, that it starts there first and I think maybe
it starts within yourself.
Absolutely.
Then the home, and then it's like an inner ripple. Yeah, for sure.
But I think the accessibility of having an escape from your loneliness, so maybe where it wasn't, you know, drugs or alcohol or gambling or whatever other kind of, I mean, really, truly, like it's a new addiction that we kind of pick up and go to our phones to fill that void. And
Guilty.
it just, 100% guilty.
Yeah.
Same.
So guilty. And that's a problem. I want to
Yeah,
change.
it's crazy. How do we change that?
Yeah. So
be intentional
back
and
to-
schedule it
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah,
Sure.
true.
And looking back on our characters on Delilah and Eddie, they both were looking to fill that void because both of them were feeling that loneliness in their marriage. And it makes sense to me that they found, you know, comfort in one another because they understood what the other one was going through.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good point. And just as much as Catherine and John understood one another, Delilah and Eddie understood one another. And even Delilah says at the beginning of the episode, she says, I felt invisible and Eddie saw me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really great point, because I think when you feel invisible in any relationship, in a work relationship, in a marriage, in a friendship, the minute you start to feel invisible, you start to question your self-worth, or you start to, you know, there's so much that can spiral out of that. Now, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and you try to reach out to help, and you try to find someone who will understand you, who will listen, because the person who you want to be, whether it's significant other in this case, is not listening to you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and
this
even
depends
Catherine,
Eddie.
and even Catherine said, you know, like tying back to the show, Catherine said John was the one that understood.
Right.
So
Right.
they're both like John and Catherine and Eddie, and
They're mirror images.
They're literally
Yeah.
mirror images. It's just flip flop and sex. And again, I think it was intentional for the writers, and I love it.
Right.
It's really good.
I do too, and I'm anxious to kind of see sort of where this takes each of these couples as they work through their loneliness. Clearly, John took a very drastic response to his, and I think a lot of people are working through that, obviously. But I want to go on to our next topic, which is sort of this idea of secrets. But before I do, who's got a message for us tonight?
Tay does.
Tay got a message for
I have
us.
a message for our AfterBuzzers.
Turn it over to Miss Tay. Take it away, girl.
Our network produces after shows for nearly all of your favorite TV shows, from dramas, reality TV, and sci-fi, and more. There is no network that works harder to serve television fans. But we need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. By subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you, and you'll help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about pesky notifications, don't be, because they are optional. So hit that subscribe button now for this channel and check out our other AfterBuzz YouTube channels as well. Let us know you did so in the comments, and we'll thank you on air. But for now, thanks for being the best fans and for helping us be the ESPN of TV talk.
Yeah, girl. Get
And we
it.
are on Spotify, guys. We are now on Spotify, which is
new.
awesome.
New platform.
Get excited.
I do want to say Luann Simon in the chat is an AfterBuzzy. Thank you for subscribing.
Thank you.
Get it. Yeah, please obviously let us know if you're hanging out with us in the live chat tonight. You have a question or comment about anything that we chat about. Let us know, because we're reading it. We'll read it on air. We'll answer it perhaps.
We'll shout you out.
We'll give you all the shout outs. We'll do all the things. All right, let's move on to this idea of secrets. So obviously the whole premise of this show kind of started on the foundation of secrets. It seems like everybody in the friend group is sort of holding on to their own personal secret. Let's start with Rome. Let's start with Rome, because Rome, for the past few weeks that we've seen, has kind of been harboring this secret that he hates his job, that he really wants to leave, that he's fearful about money, that it's just not working for him. It's just life is just not working for him. And he finally takes the leap at Maggie's.
Partial leap.
I
say partial.
Wait, why do you
All
say?
day. Yeah.
Because in that moment, I really thought he was going to say, hey, I overdosed.
Yes.
And I was
Attempted
to overdose, and I was attempting suicide, and I was also going to be John. But
Big letdown.
Yeah, it was a huge letdown for me, and I was upset. I thought he was going to say a whole lot more. But I guess saying, like, hey, I want to quit my job and I want to, pursue another dream, it's just, okay, great. But what about the big factor? He's still holding on to stuff I don't like that.
Right.
That's a really good point. And I think actually that's going to come back to bite him later.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem. Because look how Regina, she accepted even that. She's going to accept, well, it's going to be hard for her to hear. But if I feel like because of the person that she is, like, I would love to be her BFF.
Oh, she's an
She is
angel.
amazing.
love
She's
her.
so great.
Because of the person that she is, like, it would just be a matter of a conversation, like, and she even said, I didn't see this coming. Girl, you don't even know what Rome still has to tell you.
Yeah.
Which is
Absolutely.
heartbreaking to me.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I didn't realize what you were saying at first, but now I totally am on board with it, because I do think that it was a partial confession. And I think he's only, we see him after he makes the confession, and he's like living this high.
I know.
And he's like, I quit my job. You take a Shasta, and you get a Shasta, and you get a Shasta.
It's like the Oprah of
Right,
Shasta.
Right.
You get a card. You get a card.
It was really awesome, and it was a really cute moment, I think. But how long can that high last before sort of the old feelings start to come back?
Sure.
Because there will be new challenges, I think, or I predict, maybe I say this for predictions, but I do predict that there will be new challenges in this new adventure, and he may find that making his movie is harder than he thought it was going to be. And when the checks aren't rolling in, and when things start to get a little tight, I just see that being a little bit of a problem for
That's
the
a good
relationship.
point.
I thought about it.
But it will be a passion project, so hopefully it's something that he wakes up every morning and he can't wait to work on his movie, and it's making him feel more fulfilled and more happy in his daily life. But yeah, you're right. Once they start struggling with money because of the restaurant, because of his new job, it's gonna be a whole new bag of problems.
But we're thinking that the restaurant is not going to be as successful. I think the restaurant is going to thrive and financially, even though the
Really?
Rome's project might.
I think it will too. It's just
I'm
going to
not
take
gonna
a while.
really. A couple of weeks ago,
I'm trying to be optimistic here.
yeah, a couple of weeks ago
She's like,
we
no.
got into like predictions super early, so I don't want to be the one to do it again. But I'll save that. Table that.
Okay. Well, we'll table that for the prediction segment later. But let's talk about Regina and her response to Rome. I mean, how amazing was she just to like fully support him and kind of say, my favorite moment of hers was that when she said, you know, I'm sorry I didn't see you were hurting.
That's what I mean.
I really, and I think that moment with Rome was the moment that healed in some regards her relationship with Delilah.
Oh yeah.
Oh
So,
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And I love Delilah's response to that was she said, quote, "You didn't see it because I didn't let you." To me, that's even bigger because I think it's like not to put blame on anyone like taking their own life, but I feel like it is kind of a 2080 kind of relationship. Like it's our responsibility to look at someone and make sure that they feel support and that they're like being really aware of people's reactions and facial expressions and body language. And I feel like maybe that is why suicide is rising, not just because of loneliness, but because we are so connected via phone that we're not connected to recognize body language and cries for help in a very subtle way. So I love both of those. And I mean, there could be probably no greater feeling to Rome than having that support.
Because me personally, I need my friends by my side if I'm going through something. I don't want them to text me and be like, everything's. I don't want them to give me text quotes from Pinterest or something. I need you to physically
Or these
see
long
me.
paragraphs.
Right, these long paragraphs, like everything's gonna be okay in a picture or something and a smiley emoji. No, I need you here with me. So
I was actually kind of surprised at Regina's reaction because I feel like if I was in that situation, I would want to talk about it a little more and maybe be like, okay, have you really thought this through? You know, let's weigh the pros and cons. But she was just like, okay, let's do it. You know, I support you 100%. So I guess I felt like she was almost overly supportive without seeing it from all the angles first.
Or like a realist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get that. And I guess the one thing that I'll say about sort of this relationship with Rome and Regina, the good, you know, they are kind of in a place right now where they are able to take risks because we see that they don't have kids, and I think sometimes that that can be a little more freeing in a lot of ways, and just we're kind of at the moment in our life where we have the opportunity to take kids. As the mom of the group, I will just say that like the minute that they come into your life, and everybody says it and it sounds so cliche, but literally everything changes. And specifically your priorities, like the things that you're willing to like give your time to, the things that you're willing to give your energy to, the places you want them to be raised, the kinds of schools you want them to attend. Like you just start thinking about every single thing, like being around about them. And right now they have the sort of freedom to let it be about Rome and Regina.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like they have the freedom to let this risk happen.
Sure.
They're not like Catherine with Danny that's having to sit in the same room with, or not Danny, I'm sorry, Theo. Having to sit in the same room with, you know, your husband and the mistress.
Yeah.
that was a strong moment.
Oh, it's cringeworthy.
Secrets being
Yeah.
out.
I could not do that, y'all. I
Nope.
just couldn't do it.
Me
I
either.
couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Let's chat a little bit more about some secrets that are happening among the group. Miss Maggie.
Oh goodness.
Miss Maggie is a bag full of secrets,
Poor girl.
I think.
Don't poor girl her. No, she's doing it to herself.
I'm with you. Yeah.
No sympathy for this one.
I mean, she has cancer for the second time. I definitely have sympathy for her.
With that, yes, Maggie's cancer is back, but she is pushing away the treatment. It's like, does she want to die? The irony of Maggie, which I don't like, it annoys the heck out of me, because she is a therapist and she has to talk to everyone else, but yet she's the last person to open up about herself. Yeah. And you're just going to let yourself just die and just throw away all the oncology books and just completely just like, here Gary is being vulnerable to you, and taking off his shirt. You can tell in his face he was just like, he was cringing when she was touching his chest and stuff. But he is being vulnerable, and she still hasn't said anything. But yet Tom knows everything. Ex-boyfriend Tom, which makes me so upset.
Yeah. Okay, here's my question. This is just me playing devil's advocate, but here's my question: do we think that sometimes maybe Maggie is hiding this fact that her cancer is back from Gary because she cares about him so much?
It's a possibility.
I think that's definitely a possibility.
I think she's fallen for Gary, and I think she's moved on from Tom.
Oh, all day.
So Tom is an easier person for her to admit these things to because she doesn't see a future with him. I think admitting it to Gary also means admitting that there may not be a future with Gary.
Yeah, and I think her relationship with Gary right now is an escape for her.
Yeah.
So when she's with him, she's not thinking about her treatment and her cancer. She's having fun and she's feeling pretty and wanted and loved and supported. And she's got this new group of friends. And maybe she honestly is feeling like she doesn't have the energy to go through this awful, painful experience again.
But that and she doesn't want...
Go ahead.
I was about to say, that and she doesn't want to be treated like a cancer patient 24/7.
Yes.
Like, who wants to be... If you're out here trying to live your life, like literally the last days that you have, I don't want you like, are you okay? Are you... Oh my God, do you need it? Do you need grape soda?
I understand.
Like, just let me live and be like a regular person. I don't want every single time I walk into a room, everyone's like...
For it to be about the cancer.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a human.
But that's not fair for Gary, though. Gary,
it's not.
Gary loves... Well, I don't know if it's at a love stage, but Gary actually... Okay, I agree, too. But Gary actually loves this girl, and he has no idea what her state is.
When he's ready,
No, he does
up.
know. He just is waiting for her to tell.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, he does know now because
wants,
of Tom, which is like the worst person. I would not want to find out by an ex-boyfriend, but I mean...
It's such a sensitive topic for her that it just has to be the right time. And she will tell him, she's just not there yet.
I have a feeling it's gonna... Well, I'm gonna say this for predictions, actually. Keep talk amongst yourselves, because I'm gonna make a note for what I want my prediction to be, because I know what it is.
Well, I just want to say, just to kind of end on them, is I love that Gary is giving her a chance to tell her story instead of just outing her treatments. So, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. All. Not being like, hey, well, guess what I found out today? You know, he's allowing her to tell him on her own time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, you know, I really respect that about Gary, that he's kind of giving her that freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's hop into our final topic of the night. But before we do, guys, just make sure that if you are hanging out with us right now in the live chat, obviously we'd love to hear your comments and your thoughts about Gary, about Delilah, about Eddie, about all of it. So let us know what you're thinking. Do we have anybody that's joining us in the live chat at the moment?
Yeah.
Couple people?
Let's see. Luann Simon says Maggie is a big mystery. Yes, I completely agree.
Oh, 100%. She's just like a big, like, Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
She really. Watcher Carter says Gary's cancer could come back too. Oh gosh, I don't even want that to
That's
happen.
like a mess full of cancer.
It is.
Man.
No.
I hope not.
Brooks AG agrees with you, Maggie, that he said, does anyone else think that it's too buddy too quickly?
Yeah.
So you're not alone.
Okay. Thanks for agreeing with me.
Our extended panel out here. Thank you.
Right.
Drop them. Drop the comments. We love
You
it.
guys truly are the 5th panel member, so we couldn't
I
do
know,
the
right?
show
We appreciate
without
it.
you guys. Thank you. And also, like we mentioned before, we're on Spotify now, which is so exciting. So look for us there. If you are joining us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, anywhere that you find your podcast, make sure you give us a 5-star rating and a little thumbs up, and also let us know your comments there, what you're thinking about this little show that we're doing. Thanks, guys, for joining us. All right, let's chat. Let's just chat really quickly as we kind of wrap this up. How did we get here? That was sort of one of the questions that that Catherine asked Eddie. And I think we got a lot of glimpses into each couple's history tonight. Obviously the pizza night was a big theme for the group, as a group they came together, and Friday night was always pizza night and everyone's always welcome. And we wrap up the episode obviously with Friday night being pizza night again, and everyone's welcome. But we do see Delilah start to put away the pieces of John. Do we feel like that's too soon? Like, I think she kind of came to the realization halfway through the episode that maybe she was trying to squash John because it was too painful for her instead of the kids. She kept blaming it on the kids. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, do you think she was... why do you think she was trying to get rid of John so quickly in these memories that made a lot of sense from their past?
I think that the guilt is just weighing so heavy on her.
Yeah.
I think she is distraught with guilt. And I think that that's her coping mechanism. Just,
sure.
Okay, I'm going to sweep him under the rug because I don't want to turn a corner, and everything I see reminds me of him and reminds me of this guilt and the fact that possibly the reasons why I did what I did could have led to his death and him taking his own life. So I think that she's just really distraught.
Yeah, 100%. And to answer your question, is it too soon? Yes.
I think
agree.
so too.
100%.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that was the very first thing that we saw in the episode. She taking down the pizza rack and putting it away. And even Sophie said, I want to remember him. Why don't you?
That was deep.
So-
That was very deep.
And I think I get it. I mean, I get
Yeah,
Delilah's point
100%.
for not wanting to kind of have little reminders of him around. Now, here's another question. And this is meant to be a thoughtful question and not insensitive. But when someone, it seems like right now with John and John's passing, and obviously it's only been 2 weeks. So we're, I think you're right. We're dealing with a lot of guilt from Delilah and Eddie, obviously for big reasons. But when someone passes, do we tend to only remember the good stuff about them? Do you know what I mean? Like, do we tend to sort of only remember the good times? Because again, there had to be sort of a, how did we get here? How did John get to that point? How did they get to this point in their relationship? And right now, we're only seeing sort of the good pieces of how people remember John.
I think it's just because we would feel like horrible people if they passed away and they're like, man, that guy was a dick.
Like, we're still thinking about the
You know what
negativity.
I mean?
There's
Right.
no point in doing that
Right.
anymore. To me.
I mean, my family, we are very, very authentic, very blunt. So my family has said that before. Like, well, it was just this older lady, and like, well, her anger and her negativity threw her into the grave early. And it's just like, I mean, sometimes that's true.
Yeah.
But I think it's just because we would feel like horrible people if we just remember the negative.
But I think I'm asking in the terms of their relationship, specifically of John and Delilah's relationship.
That's a hard one.
I know.
Do
it's
you mean like you
Right.
want, like, we need to not focus so much on his positive because he's being looked at as the savior?
I think right now she's being super vilified because of the affair, and 2, because of his taking his life. I think she's sort of being the one that is taking a lot of the blame for
Okay, so you
all of
mean
it.
like people need to actually look at the bigger picture because it's, quote, a million little things that we need to look
asking,
into?
Is that a question?
Yeah.
No. I mean, I'm asking, like, is
think-
it fair to only look at Delilah
No.
in
No.
this
No,
in
it's
this
not fair.
situation?
It's not fair.
Not at all.
Because
Absolutely not.
I think, and look, I'm the same way as you. Like, I agree that there are some things, you know, obviously they like with your family and like call it like you see it.
You can't choose them.
And obviously we do want to remember the best parts of people, obviously when they pass. But there is this heartbreaking factor of this relationship where they got to this fractured point. The thing that we have left is Eddie and Catherine's relationship. Do we think it could be repaired? Because we don't get that opportunity now with John and Delilah. Like that decision has been made. Do we think though this other couple that sort of has this mirror of John and Delilah has hope for reconciliation?
I 100% think so, just because, one, it is possible to survive through an affair, and two, the people, we, the world, today's society, today's climate, need to see that there is an alternative. So I think that the writers are ridiculously talented and intentional, that they're giving almost like a parallel world of which path do you choose. It's almost like a literal fork in the road. Do you choose this temporary or this permanent solution to an end, or do you see and fight through and realize there is another option? So I think this is completely intentional for the writers to do. And I think for that reason, it will be reconciled, or at least a co-parent, a successful, healthy, happy, both of them happy, whatever that means.
Right.
100%. I think the show is intentionally showing us that.
Because it may not be reconciliation between the two.
Just happiness in general.
Exactly.
That it's
It may be
possible.
like a dissolving of the marriage, but both leading separate happy lives.
Right.
Right.
Because, and Takira, I hope you're right. I hope that they're able to salvage their marriage. But if they can't, I just don't see a lot of love between the two of them. I feel like they were just coexisting, cohabitating. And I don't know if they can get that love back.
I was gonna say that.
Right.
Because sometimes it
So-
can be pushed too far of no return.
Yeah.
I'm sure
But
that's
hopefully,
But hopefully,
you know,
yeah.
they would have an amicable split and they would be able to kind of at least remain
Co-parent.
friends and co-parents
Yeah.
moving forward.
I agree. Now,
The chat is blowing.
Yeah, I
up.
was gonna say that.
I cannot wait to say what me or Tay to say what you guys just posted.
All right.
Joanne Simon just said, I hope Eddie and Catherine can save their marriage. I agree too.
I agree.
Don't go that next part.
What? Okay.
Don't do the next
I
part.
can't.
No.
Okay.
Predictions.
Okay.
We'll move on.
Okay, well then let's jump into our special segment really quickly, which is hashtag Little Things ABTV.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Hashtag Little Things ABTV. So this is sort of just the one thing that we each took from the episode that really resonated, struck a chord, hit us hard. Just this particular episode brought something out of us, and it was the little things, like the million little things that all these friendships is. So what is your little thing that you took from this episode? You can let us know in the comments by using the hashtag Little Things ABTV. Kick us off. Takira, what did you think?
I'll say appreciation. I think that is the pillar to prevent arguments and misunderstandings and communication loss and insecurity. Appreciation. So appreciate those that are around you, and appreciate yourself, the hard work that you put in.
Yeah, girl.
I say second chances, being the bigger person. People mess up, but it's how you learn from it is key.
Yes.
I say recognizing the vulnerability of children, and I feel like that came up so much with Theo,
And
you know,
Sophie.
being the bigger person because of Theo, and then being the bigger person because of Sophie. Sophie so badly wanted this pizza night to happen, and Delilah made it happen because she needed to put her child's needs before her own. And the same with Theo.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on that. I think mine had a little bit to do with like what we do for our kids. I think I said it earlier, but the things that we do for our kids and the things that that sort of help them through their grieving process. I think it's important to be brave and to be honest with them about how you're feeling and not just mask and everything's fine, because as we've seen, that doesn't work for a very long time. So.
Yes.
All right, let's jump into some news for a quick hot second. Miss Takira.
Yeah. So everyone probably noticed this show gets compared to This Is Us all the time. Well, we had a nice little guest star on this episode and it was so ridiculously amazing. Dr. K from This Is Us appeared on this week's episode as Delilah's dad, Lenny. So Gerald McRaney plays Delilah's dad, Lenny, but a lot of people, Twitter, Instagram, whatever else is out there, went crazy because they said, is it intentional? Is it not intentional? The show gets compared to This Is Us all the time. And they loved his connection that he gave in This Is Us. I kind of somewhat familiar with it, but he always says something like, hey, if life gives you lemons, you make the best lemonade that you can. And I think his character in this week's episode kind of did that. When life gives you, he's obviously a character that's suffering from Alzheimer's. So that lemon, he's making lemonade and still being able to hold on to that amazing story about how John and Delilah met at the airport.
So sweet.
And even down to the end when they were battling, telling him about John, it's just like, let's remember the good things. Yeah. So, but yeah, that was our news and gossip because, social media was way too crazy not to bring that up this week. It was like a given. So yeah, he did it. Gerald McRaney did an amazing job.
Yeah.
He knows his niche. I'll give him that.
Yes, absolutely.
Keep it coming because I love this character too. I really
Yes.
did. I have such empathy for this character. So I hope we see more of Lenny in the future.
I know.
Me
I do.
too.
I agree.
He gets to come back. All right. Before we wrap up all these juicy predictions that we've been holding on to, let's get into it.
Your AfterBuzz
Oh my
TV
gosh.
prediction.
Please say that one.
I will.
Please.
I got you.
So we got some predictions happening in the comments right now.
All right. I'll just kind of quickly, this whole pregnancy test, we got to talk about it. Okay. So that's going to be a really big theme of this prediction. I think that it's Sophie.
I do too.
Oh, you guys.
I do too.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
I do think
How
that it's
old is she?
Sophie's. She is 7. No,
I think she's like
Danny's 12. She's 16 or 17.
16.
I think she's 16.
I think she's
All
16.
right.
Yeah.
She's 16. I think Rome is going to have his moment of really telling the truth because he's going to be stressed, and I'll just go from there. But I don't think Catherine and Delilah are done.
Well, in the chat, Brooks AG said, and this is what Takira wanted to say, Brooks AG said, not if Delilah's having Eddie's baby.
Oh my goodness.
I never would have thought about that, and I have no
That
idea
is
why.
the drama that I actually want to see, that I don't even know can be seen, but I want that to happen, actually.
Oh my gosh, y'all. What if that happens?
I think it is now. I think it is.
It's going to be the bomb that we need to wake us
I
up
think
in
that's
this
the
show.
bomb that
Yeah.
needs to happen that you
Yes.
guys have been waiting for.
Oh my gosh.
To be
My mind
honest.
is blown right now. I can't even speak.
Good job,
That's an amazing
Yes.
prediction.
And I have, me personally, I think Ashley is still hiding things from everyone still.
Yes.
The way she just like held hands with Delilah, that was like a long random moment that I don't understand why they did that.
And the shirt.
She's sensually touching his shirt.
Yes.
Why?
All right.
Okay. So
I like it.
my original prediction about the pregnancy test was that it was Maggie's. And that Maggie was
Okay.
pregnant. Because, like her and Gary have been getting it on a lot. But now I'm really thinking that it's Delilah. So,
We really want it to be.
and then my second one was that I think in the next episode we're going to see Catherine kick Eddie out of the house.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so no reconciliation on your end for Eddie and Catherine.
Not
okay.
yet.
My big prediction is that it's not a big prediction, but I think the only way that Maggie is going to share her news with Gary, I think he's going to blow up. I think he's going to blow up at her, and he's going to let her know that he's known all along.
Wow. Okay.
So
I see that.
I think that's what's going to happen. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be a big old blow up, knockdown, drag out thing, and it's all going to happen. It's all happening. All the things, guys. All the million little things are happening.
All the million little things.
All right, so that is our show for this week, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you this time next week, same time, same place for episode 5. Until then, you can find us each on social media. I'm Laura L. Thomas. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Laura L. Thomas TV.
I'm Maggie Clark. You can find me on Instagram at Maggie Clark on camera and on Twitter at Maggie on camera.
And I am Tay Alexandria. You can find me at Tay Alexandria TV on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And I'm Takira Shabrae. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Takira_Shabrae. And in the comments, I love to read them.
Yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.